What's up, Ferrall freaks? Mafia and Shep here with you. Scotty away this week. He's going a little sailing on a cruise out to seas with the family. Apparently, waves been a little rough early on, so not too good to start. Hopefully, he picks up better for him. Either way, we're here for you throughout the week. To all the fill-in hosts talking about everything going on in the world of sports. And the big topic this week is, of course, trading deadlines. Now, the NHL's is coming up. People don't really care about that as much. The NBA, though, coming down to it Thursday when they get back into action, some people might be changing teams. We've already had some go down. You have a trade between Orlando and Detroit, with Harris going up to Detroit and Brandon Jennings going down to the Sunshine State. You had Courtney Lee getting moved as well. You got other trades in the works or being talked about. Maybe Channing Frye going out to L.A. For me, though, Shep, there's been a lot of rumors about big names going on. Maybe bigger names than we've seen in a long time getting traded. Blake Griffin, Dwight Howard. You know, we heard about Horford. That one's kind of died down a bit. But I really don't see a lot of guys being moved to this deadline, a big name. We might see some smaller names. We might see some role players.
Right.
But I don't think the high-priced guys are going to move. What do you think?
Well, I think, look, I mean, you know, if we're going to be really honest with this, I don't think a trade is going to make a lick of difference when it comes to stopping the Warriors, stopping the Spurs. I think those are the two favorites at this point. I don't think the Cavs have a chance. With one exception, there's two names out there that are going to make the difference. You got to do something. Here's the one thing I'm thinking. If they did Kevin Love, and I don't think the Hawks would ever go for this, but if they did Kevin Love for Al Horford and Kyle Korver, I think that's the move that can actually put them over the top. Now, if you're the Hawks, you say, you know what, you have a guy in Kevin Love who was a 25-10 guy in Minnesota. Al Horford has reached his ceiling. Love is a few years younger. Kyle Korver is an aging player. But for the 1 to 2 year window right now, he can be that difference maker. Because you've said it many times. Shumpert and Smith are on the block, right?
They are.
I don't think they're great shooters. I think they're very spotty. I think JR is a head case.
Very streaky at best.
And a head case.
Oh, yeah.
Right? As big of a head case as they get in the NBA.
Pretty much. Him and Stevenson.
Right. Well, Stevenson, we forget.
Another guy who might be moved.
We forget he's in the league.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to that guy?
He disappeared.
Right. The last thing we heard about him was blowing in guys' ears 2 years ago. But I don't see Dwight Howard making a difference. He's not the player he used to be. The Clippers aren't getting rid of Blake Griffin. He's still a top 15 player if he's healthy. The move to me is the Cavaliers. I also heard there's a rumor that Durant and Curry are going to be traded for each other.
Probably one of the only ones we haven't heard, which is amazing.
Right.
Surprised we haven't heard KD for Griffin or KD for LeBron or anything at this point. It seems everything's wide open. I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a lot of big moves because, teams, like you said, kind of have realized that unless they can really make a big push with what they have, there's nobody going to knock these guys off this year. So why make the move and why put that extra salary on if you're not going to upset the Warriors, who are just historic right now?
Do they break the record?
I think they do.
That's the I think that's
I think
the
they do. They've hit every milestone so far and exceeded it. I think they do. But in the end, I don't think the record matters if you don't win the title. I think that's their focus, even though they're getting these wins, and I'm sure they like going after that record, and I'm sure everyone's chirping in their ear about that record. I'm sure for them the focus is getting that repeat title and kind of proving everybody that last year wasn't a fluke. And, we've talked about, too, the big thing also is that a lot of these guys, if you trade for these big names or these big money, you don't want to rent them for 1 year. You want to keep them because of how much these teams are asking for them. And these guys aren't going to opt in because salary goes up next year. They can make a lot more money.
Absolutely.
So we're going to see a lot of guys doing what LeBron did where they signed a 1 year deal so that the next year when the big deal comes up for TV, they get more money. Yeah, I mean,
LeBron James doesn't have nearly enough
none of these guys do, apparently. I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's insane, but I agree with you. I don't think we're going to see the big names move. I think it's going to be kind of a more quiet deadline, which it usually is, even though we always talk about the trade deadline most times.
Absolutely.
Besides, with the Melo trade in the last couple of years, how many big names do get moved?
The other guy that people were, I remember Ray Allen for Gary Payton. That was a pretty big move. The guy that people were, there was speculation on was Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going.
If you took Melo and you put him on the Cavs, and we're just talking this year, do they become the favorite? If you don't get rid of, like say they give up Smith and Shumpert for Anthony. Say the Knicks say, you know what, Anthony's salary is too big. We want to build around Porzingis.
Right.
He's 19 years old. He's 7'2". He can do something that we've never seen before for that height. He's even better than Dirk because he can. I'm not saying he is, but maybe their mindset is he can take it. He can drive it to the basket. He's more aggressive.
Right.
He's a much better shot blocker than Dirk Nowitzki. There's never been any kind of player like him. So the Knicks thinking to themselves, look, we got to dump that salary. Melo is a shoot-first guy. He's always been that way. He's dipping in productivity. And give him up to the Cavs. You don't see them being the favorite if that happens, and you rule that you rule that out completely for that happening. I know Melo has said he doesn't want to go anywhere, but of course he's going to say that.
I rule that out happening unless you get a guy like Love in return. I don't think you're not going to trade him for trash. The trash that you gave the Cavaliers in the first place in order to take him back.
But the Knicks aren't going anywhere.
And you're not going to go anywhere if you bring back Shumpert and J.R. Smith, that's for sure. You ain't going anywhere for the next 3 or 4 years.
Right, but if you're the Knicks, and I know Knicks fans hate this right now, but don't you have to say to yourself, at this point, we're not going to beat the Cavs, we're definitely not beating the Warriors, the Thunder, and the Spurs, because this is those 4 teams' time.
Right.
So the Knicks look ahead and say, you know what, we need to unload salary. Our time is 3 years from now. You don't think there's any of that thought process?
I think they would. I don't think Melo will. He has to waive that no trade, and I don't think he will. He's not a guy like LeBron or some of these other guys that wants to ring. He doesn't care about winning. He cares about being paid, and he loves living in New York.
He's already been paid.
Not enough. Like you said, it's never enough for these guys, and I don't think Melo cares about chasing the ring in Cleveland. I think he just likes being in New York and making his money.
Right.
Maybe in the offseason they move him. I don't think he does it at the deadline. I don't think he chases that ring right now. Maybe he has to reevaluate later on and it happens, but I don't see that happening. I think the Knicks, if they're going to make a trade, they need to bring in a Teague. They need to bring in a point guard that can run that offense.
Right, I like Teague.
And there was a lot of rumors about that, and it hasn't gotten done. That's what they need to do. They need to trade for a point guard to run that offense because they're not getting the ball to Porzingis and to Melo like they should. But that's our take on the deadline. We'll see what breaks down the next 24 to 48 hours, and if any of these big names actually get moved, or it was just rumor and rhetoric and stuff for us to talk about on talk radio, and nothing happens, and no one gets better, and it's just Warriors, Spurs, and maybe the Cavs. So that's it for us tonight. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow or in the next couple of days if something breaks and we want to talk about it. Ferrall will be back on Monday. So this is Mafia and Shep out for now, coming in off the bench. See you later.
Thanks, guys.